Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options and Play video update. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend, and I hope you got some rest and relaxation because it's going to be absolutely jam-packed these next few days. Uh, a ton of big names every single day, and really, actually, like the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's just going to be one day after the other of just multiple headlines, multiple big prints. So there's going to be a ton going on. Uh, what I want to talk about is actually the largest stock publicly traded at the moment, Microsoft, and there, certain setups are definitely better than others. Microsoft has been an absolutely fantastic stock year to date. It's been a fantastic stock over the last month and a half. But I really just didn't like the setup going into earnings. Okay, Netflix I thought was interesting. Microsoft I didn't, and sometimes it's technical. Right, so sometimes, like I'm saying, like maybe like the technical setup isn't all that compelling. Sometimes it's option pricing, right? So it's you got to weigh the pros and cons. What the market's pricing in and what the potential could be, right? And Microsoft kind of was a little bit of both. So just something we've recognized over the last few months is that stocks in these really aggressive uptrends have oftentimes seen a lot of lower volatility around their earnings. Okay, so it's not just Microsoft. It's not just tech. It's all sorts of things. I mean, AXP was like another example. Um, hold up. So Friday, AXP was another example. Just a stock in a super aggressive uptrend. Had a pretty good quarter and ended up off a little bit. Really not coming near what it was pricing in. So it's not just tech, but there are plenty of examples of tech that are in these really aggressive uptrends. And what you find is just that what we've found, what we've noticed, is that volatility tends to be lower. So as much as I like Microsoft as a company, and I want to trade it. Sometimes the setup just doesn't warrant that, right? So that's why we ended up leaving Microsoft alone. Now, though, it's a different story. So, um, having not been involved and now approaching this with like a fresh set of eyes, it's like you're wondering, okay, is there still a trade? I mean, now that the earnings have played out and the stock basically hasn't done a whole lot, or maybe it's kind of back into like this chop range. Is there still a trade? And what's interesting is that you actually saw some similar setups to this, or similar patterns develop, like Microsoft in some smaller software stocks. So CyberArk, okay. So if I can go in, I'll show you. It's right here, right? So you had a huge move higher that reversed to end back below, right? So a stock that was in a very aggressive uptrend going into earnings, right? That had a very strong quarter, put in a new 52-week high, but reversed to end. In this case, it closed up a little bit, but basically it went red at one point during the day, finished up or very marginally, and it was like back into this aggressive trend. And what do you see, right? I mean, it bounced off the trend, 50-day moving average, basically the bottom of the trend, rallied to put in a new high versus that earnings high about a week and a half later. Okay, I mean, if you have a little bit longer time frame, it's continued to work its way up. It's had some drawdowns in the in the interim, but it has ended up putting in like a new high. But that's why, you know, it's like if you avoid some of these things and into the print, and then are able to approach them from like a fresh perspective, and maybe you get like that pullback into like trend support. There are some decent opportunities. So CyberArk, right? About a week and a half later, put in a new high. Another name that I noticed had kind of like a similar reversal the day they reported was this is Twilio. So another software stock, right? And you can see right here, Twilio, just you know, a massive revenue number, huge growth. Opened at a new high, so busted through the top of the trend, but then reversed sharply to end back red, right? And you can see, very clearly Twilio going into earnings, just a really aggressive uptrend. Stock had been in an aggressive uptrend for a while. So a kind of like a similar move to Microsoft, where put in a new high only to like roll over and finish back red. it held the bottom of the trend, right? So this one took a little bit longer. CyberArk was about a week and a half. Twilio was more like 2 to 2.5 weeks, right? But you can see that it did, once it held the trend, right? Pulled in, held the 20-day first, and then a little bit of a dip below the 50-day, reset, and then ripped, and then put in like a new high about 2 to 2.5 weeks later. This is another name, like if you had a little bit longer of a time frame, a little bit more patience, it has continued to work its way up, just kind of maintaining that trend, right? And another thing that you can notice from the Twilio and the CyberArk is that with the catalyst not moving it out of the trend, these things have tended to stay in the trend. So Twilio obviously staying kind of in that trend, and CYBR as well to kind of staying in that trend. So, just getting back to Microsoft, yes, frustrating, right? It was pricing in about 475. The top move, if you had sold at the top, was just about $4. So it didn't come, it didn't move enough to really reward like the short-term straddles, but it's pulled back, right? It's beginning to kind of reset in this trend today. It's obviously stabilizing. The 20-day probably going to be your focused price point. Because if it loses a 20-day, it's going to have like a much deeper pullback, probably into like this 50-day range. So right now, if it can hold the 20-day, maybe you're looking for like a shorter term bullish trade, right? Maybe like a couple weeks out, possibly like a new high. If it does have a deeper retracement and it breaks below that 20-day, then maybe you shift your time frames a little bit, but still definitely something you want to keep an eye on. And to me, actually, it's a little bit more interesting now that the earnings are out, because the implied volatility for the options, right? They should kind of deflate a little bit, considering it hasn't had a huge move. The catalyst is removed. And now maybe if you hadn't been involved, you can like look at the options for a little bit longer of like a swing, without like that catalyst premium. All right. So again, yeah, plenty of big names this week, and really they're just going to come out fast and furious for like the next 2 to 3 weeks. So just a ton going on. Lots to look forward to. Expect a lot of action, a lot of headlines, and hopefully the volume picks up, which is one thing that's been kind of missing is the volume. So that'll definitely be something I'm watching for. All right. So have a fantastic night. Best of luck if you guys are playing anything, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.